Hello, I'm JW. This time I've got an item for repair. I'm going to have a quick look at it before it actually gets repaired at a later date. And the item is this thing here. Now this is a plastic base and it's from a Christmas decoration, and there's a tree item which fits in the top here, and it basically lights up and various colours and patterns come out of it. Now, I don't know the actual age of this thing, and we'll have a look at it in a moment so we can determine the age. But before that, let's just have a look and see what it's like when it's actually plugged in and turned on. So here it is, and I've turned the other lights off, so it's just basically these fibre optic bits that come out of here, and as you see it changes colour and cycles through there, sort of flickering patterns and whatever else. So relatively straightforward piece of stuff. Now in terms of how it works, it's basically the tree bit here which has the fibre optic strands coming out of it. They're just plastic, and all of those basically go down here to this base, so they're all pointing in there, just cut off reasonably flat. And then the actual base unit just has a hole in it, and you can see the light there just shining out in the various colours. So we'll take this apart and we'll also see what's wrong with it, and hopefully some method of repairing it. Now in terms of age of this thing, it's actually unknown. This was actually found in the loft of a house my parents moved into about 10 years ago, and it was quite old then because it had various bits broken, and it certainly wasn't in its original packaging or anything, so it's a pretty old item. Now this is the power adapter here. I just got the usual UK plug on the back there, and this is quite a heavy item, so this is going to be just a normal transformer inside. It's not one of those switching converters or whatever. And we can see on the front here that it's approved to this particular standard from 1989. Now that particular standard was replaced in the mid-90s with another version, so we can estimate that this thing is probably in the early 1990s. So we're looking at sort of 25 years old or so. Output on this is just 12 volts AC and 1.6 amps. Input obviously is the standard power supply for the UK. So quite a heavy item, much heavier than the modern ones would be these days, and the output is just this round plug here, so that's that part of it. Now this bit is just a plastic tub, and we can see on the bottom it's already had a number of repairs where some of the feet have broken off and some bits of cork have been stuck there instead. It did have an on and off switch originally, but that is now broken. That's where the power lead goes in here, and then there's these two screws, which again is from a previous repair where bits inside tended to break off, so not in the best of condition. That's where the tree shoves in, and then this does twist off so you can see what's inside. This is also broken here as well, and this plastic piece in the middle has a couple of cracks in it. There's one there, and there's another one here as well, so some reinforcement will be necessary. Now all that's inside this is a plastic disc, and this disc is horribly warped, and then underneath is a LED lamp. Now this is a replacement because originally this had a 20-watt halogen lamp in, but it now has this 7-watt LED inside because that's obviously a lot cooler and uses a lot less power. So all that happens is that this thing provides the light source, it's on continuously. This disc here rotates around at fairly slow speed, and it's got the various colours and patterns actually on there, so as it moves around different colours and things show through and obviously go into the fibres at the bottom of the tree. Now I'll just undo this nut here and then we can remove the disc. Now this disc of course was flat originally, but it is now in a rather distorted and ruined state, and this was basically because at one point some years ago this basically got stuck. The motor was still turning, but it had just basically worn out the hole in the middle. This got stuck, and that was when it had the actual halogen lamp in, so it basically sat there in one position for an extended time with all the heat pouring through, and that is why it's in this horrible distorted mess. And it's also got some wear bits on the bottom. This has also been coloured in with several coloured pens in an attempt to make it work, because where it sat there and melted it went completely white. So not in very good order. Let's try and remove that little spring piece on the side. That should be able to remove that. This is a Samsung LED, so it's about 7 watts, and it's a 4000K, yeah, 7 watts, 4000K, so it's sort of a mid, fairly neutral white. 7 watts compared to the original 20, so this is actually brighter than the original 20 watt one, but of course it uses about a third of the power. And then in the bottom here we've got the holder. This is the original holder, it's just one of these with the pins that shove in, and that was originally for the halogen one, and it had these springs and there was like a frame one over the top to secure the lamp in place. And the turning bit is just this little motor here, it's mounted on the two posts, and then the wiring. So originally there was a switch involved in this, and you can see that down in the bottom here, so it was just a question of the power coming in, switched by this switch here, and that goes over to the two components, but that's just been bypassed because the switch unfortunately is broken. Now I'm going to be making some changes to this, so first of all we're going to be removing the motor from this, so I'll just unscrew these screws here. These motors are very cheap, and you can obtain them on eBay and all the usual other places for literally just a couple of pounds. Fairly common design as well. So we'll just take the motor out of there, and we'll just cut those wires because we don't actually want to be bothering with unscrewing and unsoldering. So just get rid of those. So that's the motor, we'll look at that in a moment. This is the socket for the LED lamp now, so again we'll just undo these, and these have actually been repaired before because that's what goes through on the bottom here. Originally they had plastic posts, but due to the massive heat involved they broke off as well. So I'll just remove those. So just remove those things from the bottom there, and again I'll just cut those wires because it's just easier than bothering to unsolder them. Notice it has the heat resistant covering on these, which obviously where the halogen lamp would have been extremely hot. So it's just a little holder, two pins where the base of that just shoves in, and then it had these springs there which in this case can just hook over the metal edge, but the halogen one had a little metal frame thing which originally just held that in position, and it's necessary for that because these literally are just shove in, there's no locking mechanism, so you do need something to secure it in place and stop it falling out. Now all we've got left in the bottom now are the switch and the incoming connector. The switch of course is broken, so we'll just cut that, and I'll just remove the switch completely because I'm going to be replacing the wiring inside this anyhow. So that's the switch is gone, and it's just a single on and off type of thing, and unfortunately it's completely ruined. You see the lever there is just a mashed mess. It does kind of move, but basically it's a pile of junk. And then so all we've got left is the base, and you can see here where these pillars have been glued in place from some previous repair, and there was some posts here which have been cut off and replaced with those things there. This hole is obviously for a fan, although this didn't have a fan, although it probably could have benefited from one because the temperature of that originally would have been excessive. And these things on the top are actually holes, but they go through at an angle so you don't get light basically shining up from there. It all goes through the middle piece in there. Now the tub itself thankfully is in reasonable condition, apart from the fact it's got these cork pieces here for the feet. They are quite easily removed. Of course that was just stuck there at the time because it was no doubt easier than getting it properly fixed. So I'll just pop those off, and this and this are obviously broke, so we'll need to be replacing those, but otherwise it's not too bad. And so it's just a plastic moulded item. So that part is okay. This will need some repairs to the middle because it's basically splitting outwards like that, so definitely not ideal, but again that's not beyond repair. That bit there, again it's not the end of the world, so that's fine. The bits of cork we'll be disposing of, and the switch, again that's completely ruined, so we'll just get rid of those. This disc is completely destroyed as well, so we'll be obtaining a new piece of coloured plastic, or either getting that or some plastic and then colouring it in. We'll keep the holder because there's nothing particularly wrong with that. And this motor, we may keep this motor, although I have ordered a few new ones, so we'll see what we can do with that. So in terms of usable parts, we've got the base, and with the power socket still in there, the lid, which needs a minor repair, LED lamp, lamp holder, and one motor. And the plan with this is to install at least one other motor, maybe put the two new ones in and get rid of this one because it was fairly noisy, as you may have heard in the previous section. And then rather than just having one disc, and I'll still be throwing this away as well, is to have two discs, and then they can both overlap in the middle and both rotate at different motors. So then we'll have one with colours on, and then another one with just patterns, obviously from plain sections as well. So rather than this one, which obviously goes round and just gives you a fairly fixed thing, you can have the colours and patterns separately, so they will hopefully overlap in various ways. So that's what we've done for this time, and once the new motors arrive and I need to get a few bits of plastic, then we'll look at putting this thing back together and also see what it's like when finished. So until next time, thanks for watching.